Hola, hola, muy buenos dias, continuous liners. This is Meagan Burns coming to you live from the Jardín of San Miguel de Allende. Aquí es la parroquia. Right here. There we go. Oh, let me squish that car. Early morning and cars are allowed. He's the gas truck, right? So cars and trucks are allowed in the morning as they're opening up restaurants, sweeping up, delivering product and whatnot, and making delicious coffee. First sip of the day, huh? Yeah, here it is Monday morning. How was your Oscar Sunday, huh? I did not watch the Oscars, but even if you don't watch it, it's hard not to to hear about it, right? Because people are talking about it everywhere, and everyone wants to see what people are wearing, and that's cool. I guess I used to love watching that stuff. I don't have it for that like I used to. I think I kind of fell out of the whole celebrity thing during the pandemic, right? Like I want the celebrities to be able to make a living and have work and do all that, but just like following them around and everything, I don't really care anymore. But the Oscars are big business, and it is interesting to see what people are wearing. I'm sure the Twitter will be all abuzz with the worst dressed and the best dressed, and of course I'll look. Anyways, that's not why I'm here. I'm here because I'm doing my continuous line warm-ups right here in front of the parroquia. And so I have my book that has my copy paper in it, and I have my ballpoint pen. And here's my logo, and I designed it. It's a continuous line design, and I believe that through a continuous line drawing practice, you will connect your heart to your eye, to your hand, and to your crown chakra, right? There's something that happens when you have a drawing practice and you work at it, right? It is work. I mean, relative. It's something that you can dedicate your time to. And I don't see it as work, but I do see it as something that I seriously dedicate my time to, because it is something that is important to me, and something at this point which is allowing me access to do things and go places, right? I mean, it's part of the whole bigger picture. Like this, I am an artist, and I do have a continuous line practice, and I have a workshop company, and I'm admin of the Urban Sketchers, and I have online classes, and I do in-person workshops. And so that gives me street cred, to go teach in other places, right? If you get yourself organized in whatever it is you want to pursue, if you get yourself organized, and you can to look like you're a professional, right? Then you can present yourself, right? And so I'll speak for myself. I now have my new updated personal website, and I've got my things in order, I guess. Well, I haven't always been able to say that, right? Let me fix my sleeve, because it's going to drive me crazy. And so I'm headed to San Francisco. Thank you, Liz Scota. Liz Scota very graciously offered me to stay in her apartment while she is, I believe, in France, right? And so while there, I want to do a workshop, right? And I didn't want to go through the urban sketching channels, because as time goes on, I'm pulling away from like the I feel like I am urban sketching with a heart. What? What does that mean? That's all I'm going to say, urban sketching with a heart. Here come all the vendors, all the elote guys, and what is he selling? I think that's no, it's probably like candy and potato chips, and there's a lot of junk. Anyways, so what am I doing here? I'm going to go this way. No, I'm going to go this way. So what was I saying? Oh yeah. So I did not want to go through like the urban sketching channels. I wanted to go through my continuous line channels, and so I reached out to an art store in San Francisco that offers weekend workshops, and I presented my workshop and all my information, and I got approved to have my workshop there, right? So I worked on some promotional pieces this weekend, and I'm excited to now be having workshops. And I had workshops, 2 sold-out workshops in San Francisco last year, And I'm very proud of that, right? And now I hope to have the same, right? And but a new experience of it, right? New experience in San Francisco. More just exploring and creating my community, which is the continuous line drawing, right? I love urban sketching. I am an urban sketcher, but I like the freedom of continuous line. And continuous line, it's not something like you always have to draw a continuous line, right? Like, I mean, I know that there are people who are dedicated to it. I get in moments where I'm dedicated to it and I don't pick up my pen. But I certainly, like if I'm out on the street, for example, and drawing with people, you chit chat, you have a sip of your coffee, you do something, and you may pick up your pen. Not the end of the world, right? Not the end of the world. I use continuous line as vitamins. I've designed a curriculum that has a lot of warm-ups using a continuous line ideology, and so it helps you. I'm not even making this up. I promise you, it helps you become a stronger drawer. In that it builds, but a continuous line allows you to push through your drawing fears, and it helps you to understand composition better because you just keep drawing, right? You can go foreground, middle ground, background, and I feel like by practicing that foreground, middle ground, background, you can't not learn about composition that way, right? And then by doing that, it builds your confidence, because when you do that, you go, oh my God, look at me, I can draw. Who knew, right? I mean, I can't tell you how many people who have, I'm not saying I'm the greatest artist in the world, but like I'm at a certain skill level, and I've had people look at my stuff and go, oh my God, I could never do that. I could never, ever, ever do that. I'm like, well, you could with practice. Oh no, I don't even know how to draw a straight line. Oh my God, I don't like straight lines. We don't draw straight lines, right? Who cares about straight lines? Go to architect school if you want to be, if you want to draw straight lines, right? Oh, my table is very wobbly. Let me see if I can hold it down here. I can't draw to save my life. Well, if someone was going to push you over a cliff, or a train was about to hit, run you over, I'm pretty sure you would draw, even if it's a stick person, right? And so you could save your life by drawing a stick person. But a lot of people are attached to the story, right? The story of why I can't do something, and that just goes beyond making art, right? It's human. What's the word I'm looking for? It's part of our humanness, right? We get attached to our stories of why we can or cannot do something. And I have certainly, that applies to all areas of life, right? Like, I just couldn't get into another relationship. It always ends in disaster, and that we hate each other, right? Like, that's a story. Like, I can never get in a relationship because it always ends in disaster. And I certainly understand things ending in disaster. Who hasn't been there? You know what I'm talking about? But that doesn't mean like you can't try again, right? Or you just keep trying and trying and trying until you die, right? And why not? Why not give it the old college try? And I believe that for drawing too, for making art, right? Like, if people can get over the story of like, oh, I'm the worst artist and I can't do anything, and I'm a fraud and I'm a fake and I can't do anything. If you can let go of stories and be open to learning new things, right? Or just expressing yourself in fresh new ways, huh? How about that? I'm actually rolling out a new class this week with the saturated inks, and a lot of people in my classes are using saturated inks, and I myself, it actually came up in my Facebook memories. It was May 21st, 2021 is when I bought my first set of saturated inks, and they're not watercolors, but they're saturated ink watercolors, right? So they're a very powerful liquid watercolor, right? And sometimes it's acrylic, saturated acrylic ink, right? The thing about it is it's super powerful. They're very saturated, and they can very easily take over your drawing. I am someone who works hard at my lines. I like to, let me take this off for a minute. I spend a lot of time drawing my lines, and the dance that I always have is I like the saturated inks because they're powerful and they're beautiful and they're amazing colors, and they're not available in the United States. They're only available in Mexico, and they're Italian, right? At least the ones I use, right? There's saturated inks available everywhere, but the ones I use, beautiful, saturated, gorgeous. But if you go too heavy with it, it covers up your lines, right? It covers up my lines very quickly, and sometimes that's okay. But through the course of my class, I've noticed that a lot of people have purchased the inks, but a lot of people are also like, I don't know how to use these. And so while I'm not claiming to be an expert in anything, I have created an opportunity. I've created a class where we're going to try different techniques with our saturated watercolor inks, right? Why not, huh? Hey, what are you doing in my frame? In my live stream. I had originally said that the class is on Wednesday, and totally forgetting that I'm the admin of the San Miguel Urban Sketchers. And while I could have a class during that, now that I'm back here in San Miguel, I want to go hang out with the Urban Sketchers. So the class is now going to be on Tuesday. And I will make sure everyone in class today hears that news. And, right now it's free because I just want to test it out and see what kind of participation I get, and if people are, I know that there's people interested in learning about using them, and it's not like it's going to be, okay, and now we're going to do this, and now we're going to do this. It's literally going to be, these are the exercises that will help us all understand our saturated inks a little bit better so that we can use them. And honestly, with saturated inks, the whole key is water. Water, 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 water. It's diluting it, right? And brush strokes and water, right? So it's not watercolor paint, it's watercolor inks, right? And they're powerful. They're super saturated. They're gorgeous, right? So it kind of goes along with my continuous line in that one of the things that has happened for me with the continuous line is I can draw pretty quick. I can draw pretty darn quick, and I love it, right? Because my whole thing is get in there, draw the thing, and then go have lunch, right? And so the saturated inks kind of go nicely with that, because you just you do the drawing and then you go blam, blam with your saturated inks, and then you're done, right? So I feel like it's the next best step for my continuous line practice and my community is to introduce a way. Now, that's not to say that you shouldn't or can't use other mediums, because I will always practice with other mediums. And, sometimes saturated inks are a little tricky to travel with. I always do travel with them. They don't explode or anything, but they're liquid, right? They're liquid. So you want to make sure they're well packed. And even, we can put them in what are those called? The water pens, right? Those water brush pens, right? Those are good for traveling, right? So this is going to be an opportunity. It's not about the continuous line in the saturated watercolor inks, but we're going to use it, right? Why not? I incorporate continuous line into my whole life. It's a part of everything I do now. It's a philosophy. It's a way of life. It's not just an art practice. For me, it is a way of life. It helps me think clearly. It helps me center myself. Let me have a sip of my coffee here. Joggers. The continuous line is literally, it's a way of life. I do use it as a way to solve problems. if I get too up in my head, or if I look at the news and there's like all this bad news, and there's a lot of bad news these days, right? I get all wound up about like what they're doing to women's rights and what a lot of women are doing to women's rights. That's the thing that just completely trips me up, right? And so I get all fired up. I get, ooh, a bird just came right at me. I get fired up about this and like, okay, yes, I can vote, and yes, I'm registered to vote, and yes, I'm going to vote, and you know, there's a whole lot of volunteers here in Mexico, and especially here in San Miguel, that will help us vote, right? Democrats abroad. I don't know if the Republicans have that. They don't really like people to vote, so they probably don't have that here. So, you know, because I vote in Texas, and you have to be like, if you fold things the wrong way, they'll deny your ballot, right? So there's a wonderful group of volunteers here in San Miguel, and I'm very grateful because they're going to help me get my ballot on its way to Texas, right? So you got to be proactive and find ways to help and work for the causes that are important, right? And it helps to be of sound mind, right? I think we've all seen a lot of unsound mind these days, and you know, I think it has a lot to do with the collective grief and trauma of the past few years, you know, health wise, medically wise, physically, virally, vaccinely, whatever. And I'm not saying that I'm this way or that way, but I'm just saying collectively everything that we've all been through as a society, as a world, has been very traumatic, has been very it's been very traumatic, right? Even if you didn't lose your way, even if you didn't get COVID, all of our lives have been changed by it, right? I mean, the neuroses, I think there's no better display of how insane things are than politics, right? People are behaving in ways that were, you know, even 10 years of were unheard of. The level of disrespect, the level of lack of decorum, right? People are dressing like clowns in Congress, and nobody cares, and it's acceptable, right? So how do you reckon? How do I reckon with this? Well, first of all, I have to calm myself. I have to find a way to like sort of bring it down a notch, because if I make decisions in the anger, in the resentment, in the anger of it, right? In the sadness of it, you know, oftentimes I may just be creating more chaos and creating more heartache for myself, right? So I have found that if I take the time to center myself, yoga, stretching, breathing, exercises, and drawing, right? If I take the time to do these things to center myself, I feel like I can make better decisions. I don't feel like it. I know I can. I'm tracking myself, and I know that if I make decisions, and I still do, I make decisions when I'm caught up in the anger. I get all fired up and, you know, just hammer time, right? I'm human, and so if I react in times when I'm not grounded, you know, sometimes it may not be the best decision for me or whatever, right? So I really know that at this stage of my game, of my life, I have to take the time to calm myself, to get in my right mind, to just not be angry, right? And kind of let go, because there's only so much I can do. First of all, I can stop reading about, I don't have to doom scroll all the time, right? And so, you know, I have allotments of it. And then I be proactive in being positive. I believe that creating a drawing community and helping people and encouraging people to express themselves through their own art, right? I of course applaud and like people to buy art, but I think in this day and age, creating art for oneself is much more satisfying. Once you get over the ego part of it, of that I'm the worst drawer in the world and I can't draw. When you get over the ego part of it and you start to enjoy the process, and I honestly believe continuous line drawing practice helps you get more quickly over that phase of like, I can't do anything, I'm a failure. I think there's a graduating class coming. We're moving into Semana Santa here, so that means it's going to get busier and busier here. And at the end of the last week of March is when the whole city of San Miguel, they recreate the whole procession, the whole Semana Santa, the whole procession of beating Jesus and having him come back to life. And it's actually it's fascinating to see. I was raised Catholic, but I'm not a Catholic anymore at all. And so when I do see this, watch it, it's out of reverence, it's out of respect, it's out of, acknowledgement to like this culture, this Mexican culture. This is how they observe and acknowledge the Easter, right? Even when I've brought workshops here at Easter time, it's never been a religious thing. It's been more about capturing the essence and the energy of it in my drawings. And I have done that over the years, drawn, like, I think it's this weekend, the Lord column, which is Jesus, he arrives from Dolores Hidalgo. The pilgrimage brings him over the hills, and he arrives in San Miguel at 6 a.m. or sunrise. And it's honestly beautiful because, well, the music of Semana Santa is very eerie. It's because it's usually children crying as they're singing about Jesus. And so it's very somber. It's very like Baroque, somber grief music. And the candles and the women in black, and it's dramatic, right? So I'm not there like, oh, well, this is a good time. Look at it, it's out of regard and respect that I'm witnessing it, right? Because San Miguel really, a lot of people, Mexicans from all over Mexico come to San Miguel, even though a lot of Mexican cities, well, around the world, people are observing Easter and the procession of, what do they call that? The Passion of the Christ, right? And a lot of places around the world acknowledge it and recreate it. But here in Mexico, San Miguel is kind of like Mexicans have been coming here to be a part of it. I don't even think they do it necessarily in Mexico City. I don't remember. I'm sure somewhere, somehow, but like I know they do it in Pátzcuaro and, other cities, but really San Miguel, it's very, even in Guanajuato's got Guanajuato makes sure to do everything differently than San Miguel because they don't want to be like San Miguel. I'm going to say it, they don't like San Miguel and they don't want to be San Miguel, right? So they do everything in the Guanajuato way. I think that has a lot to do with why they don't have organic food available, because they're like, oh, you want organic food? You can go to San Miguel then, because we are Guanajuato. We don't do organic food. Yeah, you want that? You go to San Miguel. You leave us alone with our bimbo bread. Okay, now I'm going to finish big with a heart as a reminder to go easy on myself and easy on others. Easy on myself and easy on others. I can get all wound up. There was, a lot of drama in the news this week, right? And it's only going to get more dramatic, right? Or more chaotic, right? We're in an election year. Here in Mexico, it's an election year, right? So things are going to get, things are happening in politics, which are kind of surreal around the world, right? So it's going to be a bumpy year. Water situation, Mexico's running out of water, and, it's here. It's not like it's in the future. It's here, right? So what are you going to do, right? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Well, yeah, we can be concerned and worried, but we also have to take care of ourselves so we don't get sick and so that we can be useful. We can be positive and we can be useful, right? Positive and useful and with grace. Though, grace is a big thing I'm focusing on. How do I have grace for someone or something that I don't agree with or I don't like, right? So I want to be positive, I want to be useful, and I want to do it with grace. Those are my things right there. Positive, useful, and with grace. Those are my deals right there. And so I'm going to finish big with a heart on my continuous line practice. Go easy on myself, go easy on others, even these idiot women who couldn't be more against women, right? I'm going to go have a little grace because I'm just going to assume they're uneducated and they've been so abused and beaten down by the white man they don't even know themselves anymore. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about that. I'm not going to go off on the politics like I usually do. I feel like it's better to be positive, useful, and graceful, to stay in the positive and focus on having a drawing practice to make you feel better, right? Having a drawing practice to make myself feel better. There we go. Finishing big with a heart. 3 hearts right there to go, oh, look at that. It goes right into the parroquia. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, everyone. I am on my way to go do my Zoom class. Continuous line drawing, and then tomorrow Tuesday, is the saturated inks, and I'll put out an email and I'll make a post for that and everything. So have a great day. We're in the middle of March. Time is cruising on through. Tell your stories, be an artist, draw your stories, practice your continuous line, be a part of the community, because it's honestly one of the most loving communities I've ever been a part of, and it's something that I helped create, so I'm very excited about it. Anywho, I'm going to finish my beautiful latte and then scamper on back to my house. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all next time, right? So keep sharing your stories, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Have a great day. Bye.